That's who I am, the proud granddaughter to the wonderful Thomas Howes and the wonderful, lovely bride he brought with him to America, Mary Burr. I'm going to share with you the true story of how my children, the grandchildren of Thomas Howes, the founder of Yarmouth Port, Massachusetts, and the grandchildren to Mary Burr, were kidnapped by the government through Falmouth Police Department, Barnstable County, which is where my grandfather was granted the land by the king. This happened in 2007. You hold still. I'll be right back to share the story. What I wouldn't do to have my children by my side to help me tell this story to you. And as you can hear, I still have great hurt and pain in my heart whenever I just even start to think about it. It was the summer of 2007. My road husband owned a carnival business called Rockwell Amusements that came to town to Barnstable County Fairgrounds. And being part owner of that show, of course, being family oriented, we all travel together, as we do. Being the fact that my grandfather was the founder of Barnstable County, and that I was in Barnstable County at the fairgrounds, which was once known to be my family's land. I was there celebrating and putting smiles on the faces of your children, as well as your adult family members and your elders. I cooked and I served food to you people. You had no problem with me then. You had no problem with me now. But what seemed to be the problem was somebody had an interest, an infatuation with the Howes. Do you not know of the story Thomas Howes? There's a book on it. He was released from captivity from overseas. He was in the jungle for 5 years. He was released a year after they took my children. See, in July 19 of 2007, when Falmouth Police Department called me, they asked me where I was at. I was 16 miles away. I remember it clear as day. They told me that they had a warrant from the state of Vermont for abandonment, and they were there to take my daughter. Well, lo and behold, my daughter was with children and she was with family. And so why is it that Falmouth Police Department decided to take my daughter without even speaking to me? What happened was I told them where I was, and I had been on the way back from a drunk driving accident that claimed the life of my husband's employee, being a Ferris wheel hauler, okay? We call him the wheelman. So knowing that Eddie Kipp had just died in a head-on crash, and I was attending his funeral with my family and loved ones, and heading back, there is no reason why Falmouth Police Department should have left the fairgrounds with my daughter. But they did. And when they did that, they had lied to me and said that they were going to wait there for me. Well, they purposely left, obviously, because why? Because they had an abandonment warrant. You see, it took me many years to figure this out, and a few years in school to be able to get the information that wasn't provided. However, I have a cold case. Not at all. It's a very hot one. I want to know why this happened. So to go on with it, we start with November 4th of 2006. I had mentioned to the school and made provisions I would be moving my family at the end of this school year, being the 2006-2007. Along the way, there were interruptions with the school system for no apparent reason until that day in Barnstable when the police took my daughter away. I also had a repo man show up telling me he was there to take my vehicle. And then he said, well, wait a minute, I see what's going on here. And he made a deal with me that he'd come back, but to go up and take care of the business and then be back, and he would come back on Saturday. And that's what happened. I went up on Friday morning. They didn't think I'd make the court hearing, but I made it. And I was there for my children. And then I drove back because I had no other place to be but with my family. So I drove back to Massachusetts. And then lo and behold, the teacher who groomed my daughter, she showed up. Her name was Mary Hare. She was an IEP teacher married to her supervisor of Border Patrol. Now, they lived in Island Pond. Mary Hare was an IEP teacher. My daughter was an honor roll student who was not on the program for IEP. She didn't need one. It ends up being that Mary Hare and Jeff Hare lured my daughter. Jeff Hare assaulted and sexually assaulted my daughter. I have the paperwork right here from DCF that proves. I don't lie. I have the case. Jeffrey Hare now lives in Plymouth, Massachusetts with his wife, Mary Hare. Mary Hare was the IEP teacher who groomed my daughter. Jeffrey Hare is the supervisor of Border Patrol. Border Patrol and all of them are involved with sex trafficking and human trafficking. The carnival is the hub of human trafficking, and we're going to get to that. But I just wanted to give you a little display story of what you're about to hear, based on a true story that happened right here, Barnstable County Fairgrounds. This is just going to be labeled as true story, and then you're going to see part 1. Stay tuned, and I hope you all gain the interest to find out how my children were illegally kidnapped from my custody and made governmented funded children, put with sex trafficking families. And I am here to tell you that I've got names of all the police involvement and all the attorneys and every DCF worker that was involved. I'm going to exploit it, and then I'm going to file a major lawsuit about it. Stay tuned.